Good Sunday afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Joe and Joe Weather Show. Normally, you'd see us at 11 o'clock Eastern Time, but we are instead on today at 1 o'clock to facilitate our dear Joe Rayo, who is hobnobbing across the globe, be it in Antarctica or Chile or some other unforeseen nation. Hold on, let me just take care of Omni. Yeah, the Joe and Joe Weather Show brought to you by Omni True Value Hardware at 1226 North Wellwood Avenue in West Babylon, New York. 631-756-1125 for the best prices in town. Tons of rock salt, which you haven't really had to use any, except for the one day this past week. But they've got tons of it when the time comes, and all the great snow and ice melt products like Pelleto, Mag, ice pellets and flakes, shovels, spreaders, snow blowers, and much more. So head over to Omni. 631-756-1125 is the phone number, and the website is omnitruevalue.com. I don't know why I have the need to channel Kenny Williams.
Oh, from what show was that he used to do?
Oh, Hollywood Squares.
It was Hollywood Squares. All right.
Right.
I always got him confused with Jay from Let's Make a Deal.
Yeah, no. Kenny Williams was Hollywood Squares, which was a Jay Stewart. Both shows, by the way, as I recall, were had oftentimes prizes from Dicker and Dicker of Beverly Hills.
Yes.
Yes. Yeah. Anyway,
so how are you, Joe?
Like crap. No better than yesterday. Just the same. Tomorrow I get to see something called a doctor. So hopefully they'll have something called a result from the CT scan that I did last week, and we can take it from there. In the meantime, it's kind of tough eating bananas and applesauce for breakfast and applesauce and bananas for dinner because you're not hungry for lunch. And I had a probiotic yogurt today too, so that's also making me feel full. But so far, I just you get to a point where you're just sort of sick and tired of being sick and tired. That's kind of where I'm at here. It's just very difficult to get through from day to day. But you know what? It is what it is, and it's not getting any worse, and that's I have to look at it in that way, and then I have to find something funny about it all, which I will eventually. But the show is young.
Just think, we can laugh at this in 20 years. Oh my goodness! In 20 years, we'll be in our 80s.
Yeah, it's funny. Bob Breck, when we remember Bob Breck when we did the show back before Ida, found an old promo from back in 1986, and he texted it to me today, and it's just like, oh my God, did they really look like that? It's I think I would say I've aged well before this appendectomy thing, and I was thinking about this just before the show started. I just wonder, because I know I look horrible. People have told me so. I know I look horrible, and I wonder if this is going to have aged me some when I get back to feeling 100%, whenever that happens to be. So.
Let me tell you that this trip, a lot of people have been very nice. I've been posting on a daily basis on Facebook our adventures here on the ship and in Antarctica. And oh, you must be having a lovely time. Oh, what a memorable trip you're having. Oh, you'll always remember this. Yeah, I'll always remember this. There are some. Let me tell all of you that when I last came to Chile in 1986. for Halley's Comet. When I landed at JFK Airport, I got on my hands and knees and kissed the ground. You do not want to, you can readily, you only have to go to another country, especially in South America, to realize the difference between that country and the country that we all live in. And it will make you appreciate where we all are fortunate to live when you go to another country like this and have been going through all kinds of craziness, like what we have been going through just to get into the damn country. And now, in a few days, just to get out. I was telling Joe, everybody, that we had called on Friday because we don't have boarding passes for the flight from Santiago to Miami. It's not going to be a nonstop trip for us. And this particular flight from Santiago to Miami, we spoke on the phone to the gentleman at the airlines, and he kept assuring us, "Oh no, everything is fine, everything is fine," and he even gave us the seats that we are on the plane. She's 29E and I'm 29F. And yesterday, just out of curiosity, I said, I wonder where that is on the aircraft. Maybe they gave us a window seat. Maybe we're on an aisle or something. So I went online and I looked up our flight and made the astonishing discovery that 29 E and F does not exist, that there's no row E and there's no row 29. There's 28 and there's 30, but there's no 29 and there's no row E.
Is it possible? Is it possible that 29 is on a wing?
More than once. It could be outside on the wing.
Maybe.
The way this flight is, or the way this country works, I honestly don't know. But we have, I think my hair has taken on a new shade of white in trying to figure all of this out or whatever. And now we have the cruise line, their travel director working on this. We have my daughter, for goodness sake, back in New York working on this. We have got I have a woman in Wisconsin looking at this, working on this, and they're all and basically it's all like they're all going in different directions. And
we just have to hope that now that it's about 48 hours before our flight, that we'll be able to do a complete full check-in and actually get into the system to make sure we have set seats and boarding pass and so forth. So
basically
that definitely has to happen by tomorrow morning.
Basically, Joe, what we're looking at is the potential of the Joe and Joe Weather Show from starting tomorrow and here on for God knows how long. You originating in Georgia, and we will be originating in Santiago, Chile.
Yeah, somehow,
Santiago,
Chile, da da da. I somehow think that's not going to happen. So I think this is going to straighten itself out. I mean, you would think that this will get straightened out.
Well, we'll see. We'll see.
We'll keep you informed. We'll let you know.
Please do. So
on a completely different note, Joe, on a completely different note in terms of weather, we have been watching, and we do have sporadic, but we do have satellite television coverage, and we have been able to watch MSNBC and Fox News and and even BBC, and we have seen the devastation that has been done in Mayfield, Kentucky. And watching this, my mind, and your mind too, because I know your mind works like mine in terms of weather events. My mind is flying back to 1974 to Xenia, Ohio, with the super outbreak of tornadoes that occurred in April of that year. This is really a travesty and a tragedy of the first magnitude. I just cannot believe what happened on Friday night in that. And they talk about it. And here we are so close to Christmas.
I have the video up, by the way. I have the video up of Mayfield. I mean, it's just devastating.
It is. It's unbelievable. It is absolutely unbelievable. And Friday morning, and Renato will tell you, Friday morning, when I got a chance to look at SPC and look at the convective outlook, my mind was like blown. I said, holy mackerel, moderate, severe risk for places like Western Kentucky. And I said, I don't believe it. I can't believe that's possible. Because we went through, I think, the entire summer. I don't think we saw one moderate from the Storm Prediction Center. And here it is now, mid-December. And then, of course, the next day we find out what happened in Kentucky. Unbelievable, just unbelievable.
I was thinking about the fact that since July, we've had these, the months have been primarily where we go a couple of weeks where nothing's going on. And then all of a sudden, we got severe weather outbreaks. If I remember correctly, it happened in September, um, along with Ida. It also happened in October. Uh, it was quiet for the first 3 weeks, and then the last week, I think we had a couple of severe weather outbreaks. Of course, we know what happened in November with that one that affected a lot of our general forecast area from eastern PA to southern New England. And now, of course, we had this from Friday night. And by the way, even last night, like yesterday evening, the squall line that developed was something to behold. Up here, up on the northern part. Again, we had another situation where the severe weather wound up developing outside of where, and I'm not trying to make, putting any kind of blame here on SPC at all. I'm just pointing out that this has happened several times where they've got their marginal risk zone, and usually they push it up to say southern New York or northern Pennsylvania, and they wind up with severe thunderstorm warnings all the way up to Albany and beyond. This has happened a few times from late summer and fall. So it's this is a very strange period of weather that we've been in from the summertime right through. Well, what do we got? 19 days left for the month of December. So let's see if there's any more strange stuff that's going to happen.
I did a talk this morning here on the ship. I call it the science of astrometeorology, and maybe sometime down the road we'll do the talk for all of our viewers here on the Joe Chiaffi Weather Channel on Joe and Joe. But in that talk, I mentioned Jim Witt and his calendar, which he uses to get money for children's charities, and he has projected that a significant storm is going to hit. This is his long range calendar, long range forecast. Significant storm for the 27th to the 29th of December. And I don't really know how Jim does these kind of forecasts, but that is apparently what he believes is going to be happening toward the end of this month. And I said in my talk today, well, we do know that one thing, it cannot possibly, if you're looking for cold and snowy weather back north of the equator and back where we are, it ain't going to happen this week because it's certainly much too warm for that.
No.
But there is, as you talked about yesterday, a transition back gradually to colder conditions, not this week, but the following week as we lead toward the Christmas holiday. And maybe, just maybe, by the end of the month or toward the end of the month, just cold enough, and maybe a rogue storm or some kind of a disturbance heads our way, we just might have some kind of situation that might lead to some snow. We'll see if that.
Well, the GFS, the GFS at the end of their forecast period today, which is around the 27th, 28th, has one of these. There's a low somewhere in southeast Texas with a 2,000-mile warm front to the northeast, and ice and snow across the middle Mississippi, upper Mississippi Valley, and down in the southern plains. Look, I know there's been a lot of chatter, and what's a couple of things I want to, since we're talking about this, let me bring this up because I want to show you how frustrating it's been, particularly with the European. I think this model really has some serious issues. It has been since the middle of October, trying to forecast this sort of long-term cold in the eastern part of the United States. It just doesn't stop showing that. And I looked at this last night, Joe. Let me get it up on the screen. and I think you'll have the same reaction as me. So this was, I'm going to bring up the 500 millibar of the European for 10 days from now. And okay, now the new European has started, so I have to go back one. Okay, so let's do that. By the way, super chat hits from Chuck Cardillo and Robert Russo today. Thank you, guys, most appreciated. And yes, Chuck, I actually have 6 gingerbread persons on order. In these times we live in, we have to refer to them as persons on order, and we'll be picking them up tomorrow. So they actually, the ginger in the cookies actually does help to soothe my stomach. But take a look at this European at 240 hours from last night. I looked at this and I thought, whoa, that's cold. A flow that comes from the Arctic north of Alaska, southeast into the southeastern part of the United States. You've got blocking that's developing in Iceland and eastern Greenland, kind of pushing westward. You've got an upper high in the Aleutians that's pushing into Alaska. I mean, this would be a positive PNA, negative EPO, negative NAO type of signal, okay? So I looked at this and I thought, wow. And in fact, if you go back and look at a number of runs in the last couple of weeks, it's been doing stuff like this. Guess what? None of it has come even remotely close to being the truth. And then when I pull up the GFS for the same time frame, and we're looking at the new run today. Now, okay, on the new run today, it's a little bit colder than what the old run had. The old run had a ridge up and down the East Coast and a deep trough in the West. Now, it doesn't quite have that here, but it's nowhere near what the European looked like last night. And it's, you used to look at the European, always seemed to have a better handle on the long range. I don't think so. Not in the last 2 or 3 months anyway. I'm not overly enthused regarding the upper air going forward, even through Christmas week. I mean, it'll probably get a little colder, but it's not going to get, all that cold. You got a 591 high on the GFS, Joe, east of Florida. Okay, the heights here. I was looking at the difference in the heights on the European. 522 height versus the GFS, which had a 573 height at New York City. I mean, that's how screwed up. And then if you run the GFS through the end of the run today, guess what? Ridge in the east, trough in the west. There's nothing here. I mean, this is not going to be conducive to any kind of a winter storm, if you ask me, if this verifies.
But I'm trying to follow along here. Here's the frustration of being on a rocking ship in the middle of the Drake Passage. Actually, we're literally almost out of the Drake Passage. But the problem is for us, trying to follow along with you, Joe, going on Tropical Tidbits. If you click on Tropical Tidbits from where we are on our slow and tempestuous internet,
right?
You have to wait. Let's say the GFS is coming up and it's still coming out, piece by piece. And I say, I don't want to look at this. I want to look at the European. And you click on the European, you will not be able to look at the European until the internet here has done its job and shown you all of the previous map of the GFS.
Right.
And so now,
you might as well.
I want to see
you might as well
go. All that
we might as well go back to the days of the NAFAX.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Where you get like one line at a time, and the only thing they're missing there is the noise. Remember?
Yes. And when you had to change the helix in there, and you wind up cutting your wrists, practically having to go to hospital and explain why you attempted suicide. Oh, it's just crazy.
Yeah.
But I think I'll state what I said yesterday, which was the fact, and stated a couple of times. It's even in the worst of patterns, you could wind up with something that squeezes its way in somehow. If you look at the GFS, even with the ridge in the east, there's a little bit of a weakness there going into during next week, where something's going to try to come out of the southwest, and the northern jet is just sort of hanging because the ridge is not really building back quickly next week. But my guess is that they might be a window in here for something to happen. I don't think it'll be anything big. It'll be, something on the smallish side, but every inch counts. So, excuse me. So that's really all we have all we have to hang on in terms of what's happening. And as far as the short-term weather today is pretty easy. We're going to be dry all week, and probably dry, well, into the start of next weekend, although there's something that's going to try to come out of the southwest next weekend. But if we look at what's going on all this week, it's tomorrow, 50s, sunshine, west wind. Tuesday, upper 40s to mid 50s, because you're going to have this backdoor cold front dropping southward, which is going to keep us in more of an onshore flow, but it's still going to be dry. Nothing's going to come of it. Wednesday, the high starts to pull away in New England, so the flow starts to back around a bit, so that by the time we get to Thursday, we've got a nice west-southwest flow. I think Thursday could be a day where we'll be in the 60s again. Cold front comes through Thursday night. I think this front doesn't have much with it. Keeping my fingers crossed on this. Even though the setup is not that dissimilar to what just happened, it looks like most of the energy goes well to the north and west in the plains and Great Lakes. So I'm not thinking that we're going to get any kind of severe weather outbreak, famous last words, but that front goes on through, and then Friday looks dry and a little colder. And then you get on Saturday, there's some kind of wave on that front that comes out of Tennessee and runs east-northeast over northern Virginia, a little bit of snow in upstate New York and in New England. They actually have that pink freezing precipitation down into northern New Jersey and northeastern Pennsylvania, Joe, on Saturday. And then the low moves out, and then we turn a little colder, but not, nothing I would write home about. And then another couple of weak lows after that as we move through next week. So maybe one of these during next week is going to provide that there'll be a little bit of a window of opportunity to put a little bit of snow down right before Christmas. Maybe we have a chance for that.
Yeah, maybe.
Pretty.
That would be nice. That would be nice. We certainly have seen our fair share down here in terms of snow and ice, but not really all that. People have asked us, how cold is it? You're down in Antarctica. Really, I think the coldest temperature we've had here is only around 0 Celsius, 32 degrees. It's probably going to be, next week, looking at the maps, we're probably going to be encountering colder temperatures next week back in New York, as opposed to any of the time that we've been down here. But of course, you have to understand it's also approaching summertime.
Oh yeah,
here.
And it's not unusual for the northern coastline to see temperatures get into the 40s and 50s from time to time during the summer months, particularly late July into early August, when you just come into the seasonal peak in terms of the normals, and then they start the trip down, and we start the trip up, and all the winter cancel enthusiasts who are already waving.
You said July and August, Joe.
Yeah, no, I mean,
you said July and August, right?
Oh, I'm sorry, right.
February, March.
February and March for them. Yeah, see, this is where I get confused. We're so used to being, we've got this northern hemisphere of bias, if you want to call it. So our mindsets are thinking in those terms. But yeah, so peaking in February there, bottoming in February here, and then they go up, they go down, and we go up.
Right.
Well, I guess you could at least can be happy that the eclipse didn't occur during their winter.
Well, If
Well, we wouldn't have been down here during their winter. They don't do any kind of cruises during
and
the winter time.
there's no sun during the winter, Joe. I mean, you know, we have had through a good part of this last couple of weeks, we've had maybe 3 or 4 hours per day of the sun being below the horizon. But even then, when it's below the horizon, the sky is still brilliantly lit up with bright twilight. So it never really got dark. Although I will say one thing I noticed last night, now as we're heading back to the north, back toward Punta Arenas in Chile, and moving away from Antarctica, we actually did have a little bit more darkness in the middle of the night last night, as the sun is setting earlier and rising later, so to speak. So we don't have that 3 or 4 hours. Now it's widening to like maybe 5 or 6 hours in time. But it's been interesting down here. Literally, the whole world is upside down when you're all the way as far south as where we are, where we have been. But it'll be nice to get back home. I think I've had just about enough. If I've been joking the last few days with Renata. She caught me the other day clicking my sneakers back and forth 3 times. I said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I just want to see if it works with sneakers." I clicked my heels and said, "There's no place like home." It worked for Dorothy, but it worked for Dorothy because she had ruby slippers. But apparently, it's not. I'm just trying to surmount or get around the problem or potential problem we have with the ticketing to get back to the United States by simply doing that. So
By the way,
I'm going to be happy to get back.
good. I would imagine you would be. This is a. I always thought that 2 week vacation is good. It's just, well, this was sort of a working vacation for you, but a 2 week vacation really is nice because by the time you get to the end of the second week, you really want to go home. Okay, when you go on a 1 week vacation, by the third day you start to, you can't even, you're really just starting to relax, and then on the third day you start thinking, okay, we got to go home in 3 days. So I'm a big proponent of 2 week vacation. So this way, after the first week is done, you can say, oh, you know what? I don't have to go. I can relax for another few days. And then by the time you get to the end of the 2 weeks, you're happy.
I had a dream last night where we were at the airport and they wouldn't allow us to get on the plane because our luggage was too heavy, and we couldn't somehow pack the luggage correctly. And she said to me this morning, "Oh, don't worry about it. Repacking is going to be a lot easier than, unpacking and getting it." I said, "Fine, I'm putting you in charge of packing." And by the way,
because you know exactly what you have to put in your suitcases. It's not like you're picking and choosing and making decisions and all that. You've got all the stuff that you got to put in these suitcases, and that's it.
But aren't you coming home with more than what you left with?
We're coming home with these gigantic, brilliant orange fur parkas.
Yes.
And I said, these things alone must weigh 5 or 6 pounds. I don't know.
I would bet that they each weigh close to 4 to 5 pounds.
Oh, you could always wear
them.
You could always wear them on the plane.
Really cold.
Yeah, we could always wear them on the plane.
Yeah. You know what the temperature is in Punta Arenas? It's like in the 70s.
No, in Santiago.
First we have to go to Punta Arenas.
Punta Arenas is in the 50s. Santiago definitely is like 80 to 85. They see us walking around on the streets of Santiago wearing fur parkas. That would be interesting. So,
by the way,
I really don't want to have.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I said I really don't want to have to get things through the airport in Santiago, and even when we get to New York, the temperatures are going to be in the 50s. I don't, you're going to have to carry them there, I guess.
This is where you really would want to get to New York, with the temperatures being in the teens and 20s.
Yes, exactly. Exactly. Well, anyway, we're happy that this is all winding down.
Okay.
2 weeks. The longest we've ever been away is like 12 days. Well, on our honeymoon we were away for 2 weeks, but that was years ago. We were much younger back then.
So
the longest.
And Joe, guess who contacted me with two of our old friends, Mr. Fitzgerald and Mr.
Yes,
Green.
I saw that.
And
It's funny. I was thinking about Addison
and
this morning because I was watching a little bit of the CBS Sunday Morning, which I haven't looked at in a while, and I frankly I don't like the way they've changed some of the graphics on the show and shortened a lot some of the pieces. But I was just remembering when someone was auditioning at FiOS, a news person, and was reading off the script, and the script was cutting off on the teleprompter, was cutting off the last letter of the prior word and bringing it up to the next word. So it was meteorologist T. Addison Green, if you recall. T. Addison Green. I saw his.
I said,
I saw
I
that
was going to say,
storage bin
I
he
mentioned,
got.
I don't know who to. I don't know whether or not I should start talking again. Now, you mentioned FiOS 1, where all of us were, and you also remember the edict that came down from the corporate headquarters. Nobody is allowed to take more than 1 week of vacation time. In other words, if you want to take 2 weeks off, you couldn't. You had to take no more than a week, and that ruffled the feathers of more than a few people. And so when I got the email, not the emails, but when I got the messages on Facebook from both Addison Green and also the former chief meteorologist at FiOS 1, Brian Fitzgerald, wow, you had what a great time you must be having. What a trip you've been taking. And I said, yeah, but I'm in big trouble with the powers that be over at FiOS 1 because I took more than a week off.
Yeah.
So I'm in big trouble again.
Exactly. Shraggy Stern hitting super chat. Thank you, Shraggy, and I'll do what I can to bring some snow your way. Although, be patient because it is going to take a while because nothing's coming anytime in the short range. So, all right, let's wrap it up so I can do a few
By the way,
things.
is Mr. Green gone now from Houston? I mean, has he
Yes.
started at former shopping brands?
I don't know. I don't know if he started. He had to get that, one of those moving bins. Uh-oh.
Uh-oh.
Hold on.
Okay. Are you back? I think you're back.
Okay, yeah. He had to get one of those moving bins, the storage bins to take with him, and all I could think of was that was just for his socks. We're going to be in that one one storage bin. The man has more ridiculous looking socks than I've ever seen. So
he's very dapper. He's very dapper.
Yes,
Mr. Green is.
He is. He's a class act, a legend in his own mind, but a class act. Oh, Addison knows that I worship the quicksand he walks on. So, anyway.
Well, I'm not sure. Now, tomorrow night, do we have anything planned tomorrow night?
Night is the
yes,
farewell gala dinner.
I was going to say, I would figure that tomorrow night there would be some sort of farewell ball.
No, it's tonight.
Oh, tonight's the ball.
Tonight.
Oh, okay.
Tomorrow we have to pack up and probably put our luggage already by the outside the door in the late evening.
So it's highly doubtful. I think we'll be able to do it tomorrow night.
Okay,
Joe and Joe.
That's actually fine because that leaves me. There's not much weather going on, and nothing's going to change enough to make it worth doing a show for, particularly the way I'm feeling. So this will give me a little more room to stretch tomorrow with regards to dealing with physicians. I left out an adjective, but so anyway. Okay, so look, continue your safe voyage back. Hopefully you've gone through the worst of the Drake Passage yesterday, and things are going to get better as you keep moving along. And Tuesday, I guess that's when you start doing all the plane stuff, correct? In theory.
Theoretically on Tuesday, we're still in Santiago waiting for our almost midnight flight back to the United States. So
Well, we take one flight from the ship goes to Punta
I know.
Arenas and then take one flight from Punta Arenas to Santiago. That would be Tuesday afternoon. And then late Tuesday evening, like late at night and overnight is when we go from Santiago to Miami.
All
And
right.
then Wednesday morning is when we go from Miami to New York. So with any, it's more than a 24-hour ride for us to get back home. And with any luck, we should be walking into our house by sometime, if everything stays on schedule, around 1 o'clock on Wednesday.
I wish you well. I hope everything
We'll see.
works out with a minimal amount of inconvenience. Okay.
We'll
Right.
see. We shall.
So let me
And we hope
let
that
me
by that
yell.
time
Let me
we can
finish the
better
show
keep-
by yelling at Billy the Kid. No, Billy. Billy the Kid says we always get snow by December 10th at the latest. No, that's not true. And also said Long Island needs snow. Never seen anything like this in 40 years. Yeah, you need to retune your memory back to the 90s and a few other years between the 70s and 90s. This was not uncommon. Okay, so there's nothing special here. Anyway, I got that out of the way. I mean that all in love, by the way. You know, I'm a kind sort of person.
Yes.
Diseased,
All
but
right.
I'm
Well,
kind.
we'll be back with you, hopefully on American soil, sometime middle or latter part of this upcoming week.
Okay. All right. So have a safe voyage, and everybody, just keep an eye out for notifications on YouTube or notifications on Patreon regarding when my next appearance is going to be. It's not going to be tomorrow, but maybe on Tuesday, and then we'll wait to see when Joe gets back so we can finally get back to some semblance of normalcy. So enjoy your Sunday afternoon. Go watch some football, and we'll see you later. Bye, everybody.